The loops are a series of courses created by YellowYoshi with simple design and very low difficulty. As of today, there is only one loop track left in CGP, the red loop. There are also the green, blue, and yellow loops that got removed from the pack. And they're all terrible. Absolutely terrible. Let's start off with the green loop, as it was the first one made, and oh my goodness, there's so much green. Like, 90% of the track is just the same bright lime green, and it hurts my eyes to look at. Would it be that hard to add some different colors, or at least some different shades of green? I mean, really? Really? Is this the best you could do? This track is so empty. There are no obstacles at all. None. Not having any obstacles isn't really that much of a problem, but when your track is so barren and simple like this is, it gets really boring to play. Take another boring and simple track to compare this with. Luigi's Circuit. I hate Luigi's Circuit, okay? I'm just gonna say it. I hate Luigi's Circuit. It's one of the worst Nintendo tracks out there, and it's just so boring and bland and boring and bland and boring and boring. Did I mention boring? Luigi's Circuit might not be the best track to play, but it at least has some stuff to make it more entertaining. It has its ramp over here, these speed boosts, this shortcut with the pipes and stuff, this cheap hot air balloon, the statue of Luigi, all those Mii's on the side, and that audience in the background. What does Green Loop have? A few Piantas and Toads over the sides of the track that you can barely see when you're driving by? Why not add some of those Goombas on the track, or have a Wiggler walk across the track to have something to dodge? I need something, anything, to make this track at least a little more entertaining. Yeah, I know I complained about the Wiggler crawling across the dirt path in Alpine Mountain, but at least that's better than Alpine Mountain being completely empty with no obstacles at all. Some of you might say the items you and your competitors get in-game are enough obstacles, why should there be any more? Yeah, that is true. The items do add something to the track, but I believe a track should be able to hold up on its own without the assistance of in-game items. Without any obstacles, the track becomes a lot more boring to play. Now tell me, would you rather play a track where you have to dodge holes in the ground, avoid being crushed by thwomps, and deal with all sorts of other enemies, or play a track where all you do is follow the same path for a little over a minute that seems to drag on forever? To me, the answer is pretty clear. All I could say is, thank goodness this track is as short as it is. Any longer and I'd be losing my mind. Also, it doesn't show it here, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it, but back in the day when this was still in CGP, the CPUs went like twice as fast as I did. Why? That's unfair. Now I can't win if I play this track offline. Not that I'd want to anyway, that would imply I actually want to play this track. I can't do this anymore, 3 out of 10, on to the next loop. The red loop is undoubtedly the best loop of them all. That doesn't mean it's a good track by any means, but it's still somewhat better than the green loop. For one thing, it has obstacles. It even has shortcuts. Oh wow, this is a really big improvement from the green loop. Oh, hold on, is it shaking already? Wait, it's falling? It's barely even 20 seconds into the race. Oh no, don't fall. Lame. Now there's this little section with a bunch of spinning fireballs. Whoa, that's trippy. I don't know how to feel about this part. On one hand, it's a little fun to drive through it, but on the other hand, it's very confusing to know where these fireballs are going, so it's easy to get hit by them. Yeah, that's the point, I get it. It doesn't happen very often, but I can't say it isn't annoying when it does happen. It seems as if every time you get hit, another 2 or 3 seem to follow and hit you some more, or some guy bumps you into one. Oh well, just do your best, good luck, try to have fun. Then there are some thwomps or whatever, and that's it. Nothing much, really. If I'm being honest with myself, I don't mind playing on this track at all. It actually has something for you to do. However, it still is a bit of a dull track to play. I don't mind it, but I'd still rather be playing something else. The track isn't as bad as Green Loop, that's for sure. I don't even think I can call it that bad. But it's still not good, you know? Where it shines in gameplay, it fails in visuals. It looks very boring, seeing as how there are only, 4 textures used in total? And they all look very similar to each other, both in color and in material. Like, they all have that strange, red, rocky type look. You know what I mean. I suppose it's better than the ASDF course approach, where the track tries to blind the player with as many flashy colors as possible, so Red Loop's got that going for it. I'm just disappointed in this one. It promised so much with actual obstacles and made me think it'd be fun. A shame. Oh wait, you know how I said this track was sort of fun to play like just a second ago? Well, not against CPUs it's not, because they still drive way faster than I do. What cheaters. That automatically knocks this one down a bit. 3.5 out of 10. Next up, the blue loop. I'd say this one is the worst one of the four. Just look at it. Disgusting. As much as I dislike how the green and red loops look, they look much better than this. They actually tried to add stuff to make the track better to look at. They failed, but they at least tried. That makes this one so much worse. This could have taken place underwater, or on ice, or in the sky, or something. I'm just saying, the creator had plenty of options and plenty of time to update this. It's a real shame they didn't. This is so boring and empty, I swear the creator just took the green loop and changed up the textures a little. But wait, hold on, if the creator copied the green loop, this track would actually look like they made an attempt to make it look decent. But look at this, it's horrible. And again, like in the green loop, the CPUs used to drive at the speed of light while I was over here at like 80 kilometers an hour. Why? And what's happening here? Why aren't the CPUs running laps around me anymore? What? Whatever, just take my word for it. They used to go super fast and it was horrible. Even though the CPUs drive normally now, it still isn't fun. What, you thought you could have fun with this? This track? Well, since I can't have any fun actually trying to race, let's try to have as much fun exploring the track as we can. Oh, right, this track is so boring it doesn't allow me to explore because there's nowhere to explore. Yeah, that sounds about right. Wonder if I could somehow get over that wall. Let's just bump into this pole over here and... all this effort just to die. Pathetic. 2 out of 10. And now, onto the yellow loop. Basically, it's exactly the same as the rest of the loops. Ugly and boring. The only thing that makes it different from the others is the ramp that you need to go on in order to beat the track and not just a shortcut like in red loop. It's about as bad as the blue loop. 2 out of 10. Hold on. If you check out the wiki pages for the yellow, green, and red loops, all of the updates mention something about removing AI param. Okay, so AI param is the thing that caused the CPUs to drive super fast, like you saw in the red loop. AI param? AIP. It was used in some tournament tracks by Nintendo and makes it difficult for a human player to win. Alright, that makes sense. For a tournament at least, not for regular tracks. If you didn't want me to win, you should have made a track that's actually difficult. And I swear guys, the green and blue loops used to have like the worst AIP ever, I promise. They went twice as fast, twice as fast. I don't know why they aren't going fast here, like what was I dreaming? Was I hallucinating? Did it never happen this whole time? Was it exclusive to the CTGP versions? Why? And why is it that when I download the CTGP versions, it doesn't show up? What's going on? What's happening? And these aren't the only tracks that use AIP in CTGP either. Retro Raceway used to have it when it was still in the pack, and 6 King Labyrinth still has it to this day. Why? If you want the player to have a challenge, make a challenging track. Don't use the stupid AI param and cheat the player out of a win. That's ridiculous. These people seem to want a challenging yet easy track. They want to have their cake and eat it too. Wanting a challenging but simple track is not a bad thing really. YellowYoshi even sort of did it with the red loop. This proves it can be done. Now, although they can be synonyms, to me, simple is not the same thing as easy. Most circuit levels are easy. Luigi's Circuit is easy, and I hate it. It's boring and empty and I hate it. Easiness is low difficulty. That usually makes for a boring race. Now, most easy levels have simplistic design, yes, they go hand in hand, but simple means uncomplicated. Simple levels have a non-complex design, it's easier to remember the layout. Take these two minimaps here. Now, there is an extreme difference between the two, but that's just to get the point across. One is quite simple, and one is quite complicated. The one on the left is the green loop. Good old green loop. This track has a very simple layout. If you take a look at it for a few seconds, you could draw it on a piece of paper and probably make an identical copy of the minimap. Now, take the one on the right, Melting Magma Melee. This is a very complex track and is not so easy to memorize and copy down onto a piece of paper. I don't know about y'all, but I consider Melting Magma Melee to be a much more engaging track than Green Loop. It keeps you on your toes and makes sure you don't get bored. Green Loop does nothing of the sort and is just there to fill in a slot in the list of custom tracks. I'm being serious, that's the only reason it even exists, to fill in a slot in the track list with CTGP. No joke. It's an easy level with simple design and is very forgettable. Easy tracks with simple design are very easy to make, but like I said, simple design and more difficult gameplay is possible. Maybe make the road curved with no guardrails so it becomes easier to fall off the closer you get to the edge. Put some conveyor belts or waterfalls on the road so the players get pushed toward the edge of the road. Test the player's understanding of mushrooms by placing them in a certain way so that where you bounce off the mushrooms and whether or not you trick gets you to the next platform. Just some ideas off the top of my head. They might not make for good gameplay, of course, but they do help up the difficulty without a big change in layout. Never use AI param. Ever. Please. With all that being said, I give the loops a 2.5 out of 10. Really? A 2.5? Even that seems a bit high. Oh yeah, there are also the loops made by RetroStyle12. Hey, that name sounds familiar. Anyway, they all have the exact same bland wannabe Rainbow Road look without all the colorful and gorgeous scenery, and play exactly like the YellowYoshi loops. Boring, boring, and boring. Except this time there are a bunch of thwomps, pipes, and oil slicks slapped around together with no rhyme or reason. The remakes of the YellowYoshi loop somehow got even worse. The green loop is just no, and the black and orange loops have nothing special about them whatsoever. They're just like the other loops, but with different colors. Like, I guess the orange loop has these weird circular platforms in it, maybe? Speaking of orange loop, there are also 2 other tracks named Orange Loop. Oh my gosh, how many loops are there? The one by Sparta Yoshi looks exactly like the old YellowYoshi loops, and the one by Toxic Prime and Bree is like a combination of the old and new versions of YellowYoshi loops. It looks like it took at least a little bit of thought to make, but it's also stale enough that I have nothing to say about it. I'm being honest right here, I completely forgot what it looked like right after playing it. I think it might have had some piano keys in there for whatever reason. Whatever, I don't know and I don't care. I'm not playing it again. White Loop by Dry Bowser is... oh god, I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Then there's Purple Loop made by Rosalina Speedruns and Woomy64. It's nothing special. Hardly anything I can say about it that I haven't said about the other loops. However, unlike the other loops where they're way too short, this one is way too long. If you have in your 2-minute race with gameplay this simple and empty, the race will be so tedious to play through. Much like the other loops, this one has no obstacles whatsoever. No Goombas, no pipes, no piranha plants, no thwomps, no wheelers, nothing. And those bouncy star platforms at the end, oh man, what even are those? Fortunately, this track is only 1 lap long, so you won't have to suffer as much. But then again, you race on it for about the same amount of time as any of the other loops, so that's that. Still makes for a poor race. And finally, the Blue Loop has 2 remakes. One by Toxic Prime and TZ, and one by RZ. I saved these ones for last because both of them crash the game when I try to load them on my Wii. I'm being serious, on either Versus or Time Trials, these 2 crash when I try loading them. They flat out refuse to be reviewed. And not only that, but anytime I tried reopening CTGP after it crashed, the disk drive stalled and I had to force shut down my Wii because it froze. I had to remove these 2 tracks from my SD card to get it to work again. Never, not once, not one time in the 2 years that I have had CTGP, not once has this ever happened. These 2 tracks actively harmed my Wii. Well, harmed, but they did something. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And honestly, these are the worst tracks ever made. These ones right here. I know it might be a little soon for me to make a claim like that, considering this is, my 3rd video critiquing tracks, but I have no hesitation in calling these the absolute worst, man. I can go on and on about how much I don't like ASD, of course, but at least it doesn't cause CTGP to become unplayable. But with this, honestly, I am stunned. If I can't play a track, I can't review it. I just can't. Simple as that. The only thing worse than a bad track is a dysfunctional track. A track that causes my console to freeze every time I try to load it. Simply crashing CTGP every time I tried to play that specific track would be one thing, but keeping me from even opening CTGP at all is a whole other level. At the end of the day, I'm not able to play these. Oh no, what a tragedy. I'm not able to play Blue Loop by Toxic Prime and TZ. Oh, the horror. It's not like we missed out on much anyhow, judging by the videos given on the wiki. It is worth noting that when I downloaded the one by Toxic Prime, it had the file name for N64DK Jungle Parkway in it, but I already had a track placed over that one, so I put the remake over Sherbetland. As far as my knowledge goes, unless it has a specific object, placing a track over a different slot doesn't affect much of anything outside of the music not quite matching the track, so I didn't think anything of it. Whether or not I should have put it over Parkway, I don't know. What I do know is that if I have it in my My Stuff folder, it stalls, and that if I don't have it, it works. I do not have the patience to try and troubleshoot what's going on and how to fix it, so I'm not going to find out. Oh well. Besides, if it really needed that specific track spot, it should have said so on the wiki page. Okay, so I looked more into the issue of why the disk drive kept stalling, and I came across this video from 2014 of some person with the same problem. On this video page, Mr. Bean himself left a comment saying the person might have had too much stuff in their My Stuff folder. Okay, I'll accept that as an answer. It's Mr. Bean. He knows what he's talking about. Okay. Even though, when I initially had this problem, I had all of these remakes, plus the other 3 YellowYoshi loops, plus the 2 ASDF course remakes, plus a Volcanic Skyway remake, hint hint, that's the next review. Okay. Maybe I just got lucky that time and I was able to open CTGP on a fluke. Okay. So I got rid of the ASDF course and Volcanic Skyway remakes, separated the malware tracks away from the rest of the loops, and halved the remaining loops, so I only had 5 or 6 tracks in my My Stuff folder at once. It should be able to handle a puny 6 tracks, right? Especially tracks this simple, right? It's gotta be able to work. Well, guess what? Guess what happened? Just take a wild gander. What do you think happened? Yep, still stalled. To be fair, I did not update CTGP to its latest version, and maybe that was causing a bug, but again, I don't have the patience to find out. These 2 tracks, in one way or another, single-handedly prevented me from being able to port custom tracks over regulars. Come on. The remakes get a 2 out of 10. All of them. Except for the Blue Loop remakes, those don't count as tracks. ASDF course is more of a track than those. So, in total, the loops made by YellowYoshi, Retro Style and all, get a 2.5 out of 10. I feel like I should give them all a 2 because they're just so easy to make and so mind-numbing to play. You know what? Yeah, the loops get a 2 out of 10. It hardly takes any effort to create or play them at all. Hate to say it, but ASDF course looks like it took more thought to create than these. Okay, that might be a bit of a stretch, but you get the point. At least you can actually play on ASDF course. Not that you'd want to, but you know, it's possible. Those blue loops, man, I'm telling you. Honestly, the rest of the loops might as well not even work. Yeah, let's just all collectively pretend that these tracks do not work, and just don't play them. Maybe if enough of us do it, we can get the red loop to go along with the other loops and get a good track that actually deserves to be in CTGP to take its spot. Oh my god, what an idea. Just don't play these. They're bad. They're bad. End of review. Now go away.